Aaron Whitlow.
Brandon Spivey here.
And we are.
And we are the Markout Movie Podcasters.
Yes, we are, Brandon. And today we're doing Second Chance Cinema. This is different from Does It Hold Up? Does It Hold Up is something that we liked back in the day, but we want to see if we still like it. Case in point, we liked back in the day Tremors, and it held up. We liked back in the day Eight-Legged Freaks, but it did not hold up. That's the This one is something that we didn't like back in the day, but seeing if we like it now. So, Second Chance Cinema, and
Second chance.
And Brandon chose this. Brandon chose this movie specifically. What movie is it, Brandon? Again?
13 Ghosts. Yeah, I chose it because I watched Ghost Ship. Same guy made it. Dark Castle. They did 3 films, you said. So I think this was the last one, right? Or was the 13 Ghosts the last one?
I
mean, Ghost Ship.
Let me see.
It's all about some ghosts, though.
Let's see. Dark Castle.
I want to say Ghost Ship was the last, but I'm not sure on that.
Of these, because they kept making movies apparently.
Oh,
but not
he did,
like. But yeah, I'm talking about not director, but just the studio. So they had the first one, obviously the one that I remember the most is House on Haunted Hill in 1999, and then there was this in 2001. Ghost Ship was 2002.
Okay.
And then Gothica was in 2003, which I forgot Gothica was Ghost Ship. Which
you mean Dark Castle?
Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's all around some ghosts. That's it. It's a ghost.
Smorgasbord? Was that the word you look for?
It was not, but it's a ghost production company, really. I mean, it's all they seemed to make was ghost films about ghosts.
And then they changed.
Cool.
Then they changed their MO and say, let's do other stuff. Like Whiteout, The Reaping. That's probably Ghost. They did Losers.
Did they?
Yeah, they did The Orphan, which Orphan was dope. I liked The Orphan. And they did Splice, but they also did House of Wax, and I hold that against them.
I don't like House of Wax.
But they also did Journey to the Center of the Earth, so I'm okay with that. See, so they have, and you like Rock and Roller, right? They did that.
I have not seen it. I don't think.
Oh, I thought you saw that. All right. But anyway, we're talking about.
I don't think I have. It sounds familiar, though, but it's possible I did see it and just don't remember.
They did the Hills Turn Red. I've never seen that.
I haven't either.
Okay, that's okay. But anyway, 13 Ghosts is the one we're talking about today, which I always was under the thought that was their last one but it wasn't Gothica. I think Gothica, I don't know if Gothica was a remake of an older movie, but if not, then I think 13 Ghosts was, not 13 Ghosts, but Ghost Ship was their last remake. Because was Ghost Ship an older movie and they remade it or no?
I think so. I want to say it was, but don't hold me to it. I do know this was, and I know House on Haunted Hill was, obviously House on Haunted Hill, Vincent Price, but I had never seen the original 13 Ghosts.
I think
still haven't.
I don't think I've seen the original either. I know that they had, so the original 13 Ghosts came out like in 1960 something, 50 something.
I think it was 1960 exactly.
Yeah, and it had a gimmick like William Castle's movies. All his movies pretty much had gimmicks like The Tingler. Had a gimmick where you go into the movie theater and you sit in theaters and they put like little shock things under the chairs, and when the Tingler happened, it will shock you and you feel like the Tingler is in your body or whatever. Or he'll do like House on Haunted Hill. I think he had something with 3D glasses, or they had like little ghosts floating around the theaters, I think. But with this one, I think that movie, you couldn't see the ghosts unless you had 3D glasses. And so this movie paid homage to the original idea, with the glasses.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can jump on into it.
All right. It's
13 of them. 13 ghosts.
13. 13 Ghosts.
All right. The synopsis. 13 Ghosts from 2001 is an hour and 31 minutes long. And this is the synopsis via IMDb. When oh, somebody's at the door. When Cyrus Kritikos, a very rich collector of unique things, dies, he leaves it all to his nephew and his family, all including his house, his fortune, and his malicious collection of ghosts. This movie stars Tony Shalhoub as Arthur Kritikos, Shannon Elizabeth as his daughter Kathy. Then there's Embeth Davids as Kalina. Matthew Lillard is a ghost. No. Matthew Lillard is Dennis, and then Alec Roberts as Bobby, and Raw Digger as Maggie. I'm not going to mention the lawyer. Also, F. Mary Abram as Cyrus Kritikos. Brandon, hit us with the numbers.
All right, the numbers are this, ladies and gentlemen. It's gotten a 5.6 out of 10 on IMDb, Metacritic. It got a 30%, 89% like it on Google. And on Rotten Tomatoes scorecard, we have a whopping 16% on the tomato meter. And the audience score is 49%. So there we go. There's the audience. There's all your numbers for you, Aaron.
That's all the numbers. Yeah. So this movie. So we start out with a junkyard scene where a bunch of ghost hunters are trying to capture what would be the 12th ghost, is what we find out, right? Which is the Juggernaut, is who they're trying to capture. I believe that's who it was, right? The Juggernaut.
Yeah.
And Matthew Lillard's there, F. Mary Abrams there. And so, boy, oh boy, things go awry. It's like a couple of protesters there, essentially, they called themselves, I forgot what word she, liberate. They liberate ghosts. So they say ghosts are humans. It's almost like PETA, but for ghosts. You know what I'm saying? So her job was to, their jobs is to make sure that Mr. F. Mary Abraham doesn't capture ghosts and commit them to slavery.
What?
They said that. They said it's like modern day slavery. Did they not say that? They said that. It's uncomfortable.
Don't recall it, but then again, I don't know. I'm stunned. We're talking about slavery with ghosts. But yeah, that opening. How did you feel about the movie, Aaron?
Overall,
go ahead.
You ready to go there? Okay.
I'm ready because I'm gonna tear this movie apart.
All right. How I felt about it.
I want to, because I know you liked it.
Okay.
I know you liked it.
Yeah, I didn't like it initially. I liked it more this time around. I gave it I'm not going to tell you my stars yet, but my markouts. But yeah, I like the effects in it. Like as far as like the kills, I thought some of the kills were good. Some of the characters are still pretty dumb. Like I couldn't stand Raw Digger. Mary, the maid or house nanny, or I don't know what she is.
Yeah, she was the nanny.
Yeah, I just couldn't stand her at all. I thought the son was he was annoying. He's an annoying kid, and I think the house just doesn't look practical. It doesn't look like anybody would live there. It doesn't look like a house.
No.
And so that's my thing. It just I felt like it didn't look like a house. It felt like it's all one set. It felt like two sets.
Yeah,
it was just
honestly,
like that glass room and then well, 3 sets: the classroom, the bathroom, and then that little basement with the ghosts.
Yeah. So when this movie starts at the junkyard, they're
Yep.
trying to trap this. Yeah. Okay. I'm like, okay, I'll be honest. I'm like, okay, Matthew Lillard's in a different movie than everyone else. He is. He knows what he's in, and God bless him. He acts his little heart out. He's the
He's the
best part
best
of the
part.
movie.
I
In
agree.
my opinion, he's the only good part. But
Oh,
but
everybody else was pretty like I hate to go ahead, continue your point. I'm sorry.
yeah, like my feelings didn't change much at all watching this. I thought when we get to the house, well, first you have a little backstory with Tony and his family and what happened. But I hated the way they did it because I didn't feel no emotion, like to the family. Like, I mean, I guess I don't know. I just feel like I didn't know them. It's just like they're a random family. The mother is going to get burnt, but I didn't feel a connection with them. So therefore, I didn't connect.
Well, I would say this real quick about the family, like the opening, the title
Yeah,
sequence. I thought the title sequence was good as far as like with the they did the same thing. I've seen Twilight. They did the same thing in one of the Twilight movies where, but they just like show like a change in the seasons as they pan through
yeah,
the room and keep changing, and the room kind of changes with the season. And you look out the window, you see more stuff happening in life. But it sees that in that movie, you see Bella not really changing, not really coming out of that little funk that she's in. In this one, you see it changing. You see like the family outside, and then like you see the fire and stuff like that, and you
yeah.
see that But I love the title sequence where things was on the wall, the kind of 3D title sequence. I like that
Mhm.
aspect of it. But yeah, I do agree with you. Is you didn't really one thing you didn't really agree with. You didn't really connect with them as far as her death. Like know how it
Yeah,
really like you didn't really realize that it's been such a struggle for them. Other than
yeah,
like he's kind of seems like he's over his head. But also like the son. I don't know if it's because his mom's death is why he's so fascinated with death. But it's a weird thing. They should probably have him checked out.
yeah. Yeah, that was random. And it kind of went away. Like once they got to the house, the boy was just a kid that was lost in the house, and they were looking for him. That's what he was there. He was like a prop almost. And I like Tony. I love Tony Shalhoub, but I thought he was awful in this movie. I I wanted to like him. I wanted to grab onto because I'm a big fan of Tony.
Did you ever feel like Tony didn't want to be in this movie?
Yes. Yeah, I felt like he was just going through the emotions.
I would say this real quick. As you said, you mentioned it before, but I agree with you. I think that Matthew Lillard is the only saving grace in this film. Uh, every time he was on screen, you wanted more of him on screen.
Yeah,
Like
I
like,
agree.
and the moment that he's not off, or he's off screen, and we go to like Shannon Elizabeth. God, know I love her, but it just was boring. Like there's no stakes or anything that really like she was pretty dull. She was not
Yeah,
like she, and
you
I
like
hate to say she peaked as Nadia, but she's peaked as Nadia.
that's it. That's the only thing I've ever liked her in. And I've seen several of her movies, and she's good as the foreign exchange student. I'm sorry, Shannon, but you're a pretty girl that was only good as a high school student. I apologize, but it's just how it is. From my point of view, it's just how it is. And she was dull. She was boring. Like once you get to the house, the lawyer's going over everything. Um, he was.
Also, also,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, with the lawyer,
Go ahead.
uh, he was so like apparently evil. Like
Yeah,
they even did that little thing where he's driving up and you see the lights like on his eyes, and he's kind of like, it like I'm surprised he didn't give like a a maniacal laugh as they're signing paperwork because he just was so over the top evil, you know,
Yeah.
was just like so cartoonishly evil.
But I will say something about the house. I like the look of the house. But I agree with you. No one would live there. But the glass house, I think it looks cool. But you know, they give too. It also gives too much away. You know, these ghosts, you can see them because they're locked up. Like Resident Evil, I compared it in my Letterboxd review to Resident Evil. It reminded me of Resident Evil before they were released, and I, you know, I didn't find the movie scary at all. Like I didn't feel like they were trying to be scary. I don't know what they were trying to be. I laughed at the ghost. It was funny to
So
me
none
in
of the ghosts,
2001.
so none of the
No,
ghosts
none.
were at all like. All right, so let's
Not
go through
terrifying.
real quick.
Not one.
We're not gonna name all of them because I don't remember all of them. But the ones that stand out is the jackal, um, mother and child, which was dumb. The torso.
Yeah.
Uh, there is the lady that's I'm sorry, the one that she killed herself, I guess, in the bathtub. Um, and then there is the juggernaut. Was that
Yeah.
Ken Kersinger? Because he looked like Ken Kersinger.
I think so. I
Um,
think I remember him being in the credits.
yeah.
I think. But
Um,
yeah, I just didn't. I was laughing. I mean, I was laughing through. I laughed in 2001, and I was laughing here. I was like, okay,
yeah.
this. It just didn't connect with me at all. I was just like, I thought it was a comedy back in 2001. Like I thought it was meant to be funny.
Oh,
And
so yeah, yeah. So with the ghosts, man, like um, some of them were like, what's the fear of the little boy with the little Indian kid, the kid with the little hole in his head? I guess the
the
arrow.
arrow, yeah, the arrow in his head.
Yeah,
Uh, I don't really remember them saying he had a fear.
like or just like because all of them have like some type of and what else I didn't like about this? I didn't put this in my letterbox. It's just dumb that flares scare ghosts. All right, maybe I'm spoiled because of Supernatural and Salt Rocks. Makes so much more sense because when they shoot them with salt rocks, they kind of puff up and leave, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
they use salt or things like that. Flares. They throw a flare at the ghost, and the ghost just like leaves. It's just so dumb. Wasn't that
Yeah,
dumb to you? Like the
yeah. I
flare
mean,
thing?
yeah, it was. I do like the glasses though.
Yeah, the glasses. I thought it
The
was
scene with
cool.
the glasses. I really enjoyed that. So that's another thing I really liked. I mean, I didn't like much, but you know, and I know this has got a following. A lot of people like this movie,
Yeah,
and
yeah. A lot of people liked it. Like my view changed on it because like last time, what when I seen it when I initially saw it back in 2001, 2000, yeah, 2001. Um, Raw Digger, Raw Digger, the nanny just took me all out of it. I thought that she was terrible. Maybe it's because maybe at that time I just now getting over Buster Rhymes and Halloween. Maybe that happened. I don't know if it was before or after this. But
I want to say around the same time.
around the same time.
I want to
But
say,
but Raw Digger, I just thought it was just like I said, what is her purpose? Like she's even a bad nanny. She's not even good at her job. But
no, not.
but um whenever like watching it back then, I just thought it was just silly. And I thought it was just because I compared it to uh, House on Haunted Hill,
Yeah,
which I always thought was the best ones that they did of the Ghost trilogy. I consider them
yeah, it
Ghost
is the
trilogy.
best. It is the best.
And so I still stand by that. Although I said that I could like it's a little bit more in some aspects, like the kills. I think what killed it for me in House on Haunted Hill was Chris Kattan. I thought that it just CGI ghost Chris Kattan at the end of that movie ruined it for me. But other than that, I like the movie. This one has much more that I didn't like about it. But watching it now, I tend to I enjoyed like the gore. I like the effects, like the lawyer being cut in half.
Yeah, that was cool. I'll
Yeah,
give him that. That was cool. I don't know, when you see I think it was around the 30-40 minute mark, the ghost that had killed herself in a bathtub with a knife. She's coming at them, and then they cut to something else. Another ghost attacking somebody, but you don't. I don't know. You didn't get a resolution of that certain scene.
mm.
It's like, okay, what happened? Did she miss? Did she connect? You just cut, and you never went back to it. And the nanny's bad. Uh, her line at the end of the movie, it was unnecessary, and it was only done for a cheap laugh.
Yeah, for people to
And
leave theaters. And I think I groaned in theaters when I heard that. I thought I was like, ugh. Like I thought that's how I left this movie. It was like it's terrible. But yeah, like even now in watching that with that line at the end, I thought just her part. Like there's a lot wrong with the movie.
yeah,
I'm man enough to admit that there's some things that was right about it, like the kills. I thought that if they would have explored the ghost a little bit more, would have been better. I thought that spoilers if you haven't seen it since 2001. I thought that they ruined the movie more by killing off Matthew Lillard. Like every
yes,
scene where Matthew was not in it, it felt like hard to watch because like Tony Shalhoub doesn't really feel like he really needs to save his kids. You know what I'm saying? It didn't feel like that urgency.
yeah,
And then that lady that betrays them, the swerve. Um,
yeah. The swerve.
but you've seen it coming a mile away. Like it's just. And then F. Mary Abram, he was good as a villain because he's good at playing villains. Looks like he had fun in his little role, but it looks like nobody else was really having fun in the movie except for Matthew Lillard. He had a good time.
Yeah, he had a good time. If you give me more of that, characters, I mean, they don't have to be like that, but you know what they're in. Like I felt like he was the only one that knew what kind of movie he was making. He was involved in. I felt like everyone else was just going through emotions, and you could just tell, uh, let's just get through it.
He's Matthew Lillard is underrated in the sense
Yeah, he
of
is.
like even if you think about Scream, every time he showed up in Scream, you really enjoyed him in Scream.
Yeah,
Even when it was revealed at the end of that movie that he was one of the killers, um, and they was doing the whole thing where they're stabbing one another. How he complained how he stabbed him too deep, you know,
yeah.
and then he's like, you stabbed me, you did, and that and then like when he threw the phone or something at her or something like that, just his reactions, his response, like my mom's gonna kill me, things like that. Um,
Mhm.
just Matthew Lillard is just naturally just entertaining, and so when he is in this movie, you're like, okay, well, as long as I'm with Matthew Lillard in here, it's great. But then the moment they decided to kill him off, I was like, man, because like Shannon Elizabeth wasn't entertaining enough for me to watch. That kid was annoying. If he died, it would have been okay. I'm okay with that. Then um, Raw Digger, she's supposed to now become the comic relief, but she was not the comic relief. She wasn't funny.
I agree.
Only one thing she said, which was dumb, is what did the lawyer split? But it was dumb because she said that. Did you hear it when she said that?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. I just everything she said just kind of went one ear out the other. You know, I knew she wasn't really important, but I thought because Beth was asking me, he's like, she's gonna die. I was like, I don't think she does. I'm like, I think she should, but I don't think she does.
Yeah, no. If she would have died, it would have been a trope that is in horror movies is the sacrificial black person, which I'm glad they didn't do that. But I thought that when initially watching the movie that she was going to die, but she was one of the very few of us to survive to the end of the movie. But it's just a bad movie that she survives into. But I liked it. I liked it more not because it's a great movie, but how bad it is, and but also it had so much promise. Like I think initially what they wanted to do was explore a lot more of the ghosts and show their backstory to kind of show who they are and why they are that way. Um, but
It would have helped.
yeah, and like the thing with the glass, like I thought about that. I'm like when they're carrying pieces of the glass down there to kind of be safe. Um, like I would have dropped that glass a long time ago. Like it just was, just. But I think that's why I take a point off is because they killed Matthew Lillard. Even though his ghost does come back at the end briefly,
Yeah, it does come
and also
because
the mom
he
was a
helps him.
ghost. Yeah, the mom was a ghost because I guess F. Mary Abram caused the fire that killed her. Did you get that?
Yeah, that's what I was leaning towards. That everybody that, or at least with her, he was handpicking every single ghost. So I mean, I don't know if he was like picking these people off, or, but definitely her. He handpicked her. Uh, but yeah, I didn't really get why he was doing. Well, I didn't know. Maybe since you like the movie better than me, tell me why what was his motivation for all this?
I don't know.
Because I didn't get the motivation
I didn't get it
for any
either.
of it.
Would he have gained all power? Would he become the Prince of Darkness? I have no idea. Like I don't know why you about build a giant Ouija board in your house.
Yeah, I
And,
was waiting for it to be explained, but I don't think they ever attempted to explain it.
and that's another problem with it though is yeah, you mentioned I liked it, but I'm now mentioning all the problems that I had with it. Um, that was another problem I had with it. It felt like that early 2000s horror, which I fought it because that type of the horror in that time frame was either it was either it wasn't really all completely horror. You like
Yeah,
it had this one had like bits of comedy a little bit, but it also had bits of like no, I wouldn't say action adventure, but just like kind of something like that. It had that kind of it didn't feel like a true like scary horror movie. It didn't feel that way. Like a lot of movies
yeah,
didn't feel that way, or it went the opposite way, like The Hills Have Eyes or something that went completely horror. You know what I'm saying? Um,
yeah,
so this movie went that other way, which was I guess campy horror. I guess is what you would call it, campy horror. But it's not really horror.
yeah. It was
I,
campy.
just that's I
Yeah,
kind of fought that though because I'm not huge on campy horror. I rather my horror be like horror. I don't mind like a little comedy in it, like dark humor and stuff like that. But I'm not big on campy horror. Um, but that's the time frame that we're working with, like '99 to like maybe 2008. The horror all kind of suffered from that type of thing. Maybe it's just my way of looking at it. Your thoughts?
I agree with you about it's very campy. I don't know if that's why I didn't like it. I like some campy stuff, and some I just don't think works. But this one I just didn't think worked. I laughed. I laughed throughout the movie, like I did in 2001. It was the same exact experience for me. It just didn't work for me. I didn't connect. And I know it's got a fan base, and I applaud everyone that does enjoy this movie. Uh, but sadly, I don't.
Yeah.
um, I just don't. Just didn't. I didn't. I don't think it's a horror film. I think
And,
it's. I don't know what it is. It's for me. It's a big miss
and
all the way around. It's a
and another thing
miss.
about it with I felt like they didn't really highlight some of the more interesting ghosts that I would have been more
Yeah.
interested in seeing. It reminds me of like recently I saw what's it called Red. What's that movie called? Red something. It came out a few years ago. Uh, I forget what it's like, that lady that goes to this house and there's ghosts, but it's the ghosts are not important at all. It's so dumb. But that's what my point is here is the ghosts in this movie is just so like they're not really important. Like I wish they would have showed more of them. Like, but they only showed a few. Like they showed the Juggernaut. They showed that dude with all the stuff in his head, like the
Yeah.
boats and stuff. Like whatever the hammer dude.
Yeah.
Uh, they showed them. They showed the naked ghost lady. And
They showed her a lot.
they showed the little cowboy kid, and then like that one lady with the kind of twitchy.
Yeah.
Showed her a few times, but they didn't really show like the mom and kid. The big fat dude and the mother. As they didn't show them as much. They didn't show like so. There's 13 of them, but they didn't show. They probably showed a good 5 of them for the most part.
Yeah. And they just, I don't know, there was no substance with them. And when they get freed at the end of the movie, I laugh because one of them, I don't know what he's doing. I think it was a little dude. He just looked like he was like almost doing like a cartwheel or something. What his body was,
Mm-hmm.
I guess the CGI was a little messed up there, but I don't know. I guess it was like a glitch, but it just made me laugh because like they're going out into the forest or whatever, and he's just kind of glitching. It just made me
You know,
laugh.
you know what's funny about that is last week we watched Jurassic Park and discussed Jurassic Park was 93
Yeah.
when CGI was like in its infancy, and the CGI in Jurassic Park is far better than the CGI that came
Oh
out
yeah.
in like 2001 with this
No.
movie. You would think CGI is advanced at that point, but clearly Spielberg and George Lucas, because George Lucas Light and Industrial Light and Magic worked with Jurassic Park to kind of put the CGI, and so you can see how much better that is, and how it's used better than how it's used in this.
Well, and this is no disrespect to the director. I think Steve Beck, but you had a real filmmaker on Jurassic Park, and you had a guy that just mainly did commercials. I did read up a little bit before we did this episode because I had never heard of him. I know he did Ghost Ship and he did this. I
Did he
think
do
that's
anything after
it.
that?
I don't think so. I didn't see anything. Couldn't find anything on him after.
Probably for
So
the best. Probably for the best.
yeah, he yeah. I
Probably went back
mean,
to
I like Ghost
commercials.
Ship. I like Ghost Ship, but he does mess up in the final act. But yeah, I think that's the difference. You got a real filmmaker in Steven Spielberg, and you got a guy coming from commercials directing these, and
And that's not to
probably
diss anybody that's coming from commercials, because
no, it's not.
you can have somebody that come from like a background making music videos or whatever, and then make uh, movies, and it could be good. For instance, I think the Hughes brothers, I think they did Hype Williams and stuff like that. They've done music videos, and then they went on to do like a movie, and the movie was interesting. But then you have somebody like Mick G, who did music videos and went on to do movies, and they're usually terrible. In my opinion, I don't like Mick G as a director, and I don't mind if anybody knows that. I don't like Mick G as a director. It just is what it is. But I see what you're saying though. Like I'm not dissing the guy for making commercials, but just that maybe he after this second movie,
Yeah,
actually
it's
Ghost Ship would be the second movie. After the Ghost Ship movie is like,
yeah, it's two different worlds, commercials and film. Now some do get out of commercials and they make really fine filmmakers, but sometimes you just don't know what you're doing. And I feel like this is kind of a case he didn't really know what he was doing, wasn't confident enough, I guess. And probably the studio wasn't helping either. I mean, you know, we both know how studios can be. I mean, they get involved. They say that. And Joel Silver was part of this movie, and I know he definitely gets involved in movies he was part of. I don't know. I don't think he's involved anymore. but because I think he had a scandal on him as well. But I know he got involved in a lot of movies. I know Ghost Ship was one, so I'm pretty sure he got involved in here too. I don't know. It just didn't really connect with me, and it is what it is, you know.
It is what it is, and I'm okay with it. So we're gonna go ahead and give our first of all, before we give our marks, Second Chance Cinema. Brandon, you gave this movie a second chance. Will you give it a third?
No, I'm getting rid of the DVD.
All right. Second Chance Cinema for me. Will I give it a third? No. I've seen it now in my life. I've probably seen this movie now maybe 3 times in my life, and there's no need to do it a fourth. Not that I disliked it. It's just one of those movies where I'm okay with not seeing it no more. You know, you see what I'm saying?
I understand
Yeah.
completely.
Well, I'm waiting to hear your marks. I'm gonna go ahead and give you mine. It's gonna differ a little bit from Letterboxd. Letterboxd, I gave it 3. Here I'm gonna give it 2.5 because there's elements I did like about it. I love the effects, like the lawyer being split in half. I like the overall looks and designs of some of the ghosts. But I thought that they showed them a little too fast. I don't like the jerkiness and the flashes. Like you said, it's too busy to go to here and then cut to this, cut to this, cut to this, and not allowing you to kind of take in the information. Um, and also, I did the effect of the one guy getting pulled into the car in the junkyard, like being like folded in half, like getting jerked in.
Yeah.
I thought that was good, but the point 0.5 part of it mainly is Matthew Lillard, because Matthew Lillard uh, was a breath of fresh air for this movie. Um, and
I concur.
he gets all the props for, man. He did his thing in this movie, and I
He
wish
did.
everybody else did their thing. It's like he did his thing.
Yeah, I agree. For me, it's gonna get the same score. Letterbox 1.5. It's like, yeah, I it's not one of those movies I thought, okay, this is so bad it's good. I laugh at it because how bad it is, and I'm like, I'm not being entertained other than Matthew Lillard. I'm not entertained by anything that's happening other than him, and he's the 1.5 for basically for me. Even though I did like the design of the house, I just don't think anyone would live there. I don't understand his uncle's motivation for this whole story. You know, I just I just didn't buy into the story at all. I would have loved to seen a solo movie with Matthew Lillard before all this. I did like how the fact he could, you touch him, he sees, how someone dies or whatever. I like that. Again, Matthew Lillard is the reason it gets 1.5 for me.
All right. Well, that was our review of 13 Ghosts. And so next week we have something different, Brandon, don't we?
We have
Quite
something
different.
very different. It's a first here on the Markout Movie Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Aaron.
We're going to be interviewing none other than Ken Sagos from Nightmare on Elm Street, The Dream Warriors, and Dream Master. He was in both films. He's also been in several other things. Brandon, name off some of the stuff he's been in.
He was in Hard Lessons with Denzel Washington. A little horror movie that probably no one knows, or not many know, is The Backlot Murders with Corey Haim. He was in Rosewood, which had an excellent cast, including John Voight.
Ving Rhames.
Yeah, it was excellent. I like that movie.
Esther Rowe was in the movie as well. It's a great movie.
Yeah. He's done a lot. He's got a lot of credits, but those were the main 3 outside Nightmare that I can remember.
And people don't know this. He's also a award-winning writer. He wrote 2 episodes of Laverne and Shirley. and he also wrote a Disney, after school type of movie, a Disney movie, like a small movie that he won an award for that as well. Um, and he has a new movie that is coming out called The Mchenry Trial. And the trailer is on YouTube at Ken Sagos, his YouTube channel. I recommend everybody go there, check out the trailer, give it some traction because he wants to try to get this thing made into a feature-length film that can come in theaters. And we need, it's good to have fresh blood,
Yeah.
out there doing stuff like that, And he's a heck of a nice guy too. I met him at a Comic Con here in Bowling Green, and just he spent time, had to sit down and talk to him and hang out with him, and that goes a long way, man. Some people's like, Brandon knows. Some people you meet want to push you along, get you on out, but then you have some people like Mr. England, you said, that want to spend time with you and talk to you, and
Yeah.
hates to rush you off, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, it wasn't England. It was
You said Tony, right? Tony Todd.
Tony Todd. Yeah.
Michael Berryman for me. He's the guy that, and then Reggie Bannister. Um, the those I think his name's Reggie Bannister. If I messed it up, I apologize. But Michael Berryman, for sure, he talked to me for like hours. He just, it was fun just talking to him.
Yeah. Tom Atkins was one that really talks as well. He kind of made fun of my shirt, but he talked. We had a great conversation. But it was awesome. But yeah, Tony was the most generous person I've ever met as far as celebrities go. He was just so generous, so nice.
And also, Ken Sagos is in. If you have Shudder streaming service, there's a documentary on there called Horror Noir. It's the history of blacks in horror movies. I recommend Brandon take a look at that too. It's really entertaining, and then he gives some really good, poignant thoughts on what it was like being in Nightmare on Elm Street, and just being like the love of black horror, not only black horror but horror in general. But yeah, he's really cool in that. It's just next week, man. Ken Sagos, our
Next week,
first big person. I'm excited.
Aaron is very excited. I'm very excited too. But more excited for him because this is a big deal for Aaron. I'm very excited for you, man.
Thank you. Well, in the meantime and in between time, I'm Aaron Whitlow,
I'm Brandon Spivey.
and I thank you for marking out with us here on the Markout Movie Podcast.